The greatest way to make someone feel the pain of losing you is by removing yourself from their world completely. The truth is, people only begin to appreciate what they once had when it is no longer available to them. When you are always accessible, always answering their calls, always giving them your attention, they take it for granted. They assume you will always be there, no matter how they treat you. But the moment you step away, the moment you choose yourself over them, they are forced to confront the reality of your absence. And that reality is painful. Most people underestimate the power of their absence. They think that in order to make someone feel their loss, they need to beg for an apology, seek closure, or try to prove their worth. But none of that works. The only thing that truly makes someone feel the weight of losing you is when they can no longer reach you, no longer have access to your energy, your presence, your love. The moment you remove yourself, you shift the dynamic. Suddenly, the person who once took you for granted starts to notice the void you left behind. It's human nature to crave what we no longer have. When something is always available, it loses its value. Think about it. People only realize the importance of water when they are dying of thirst. They only appreciate warmth when they are left out in the cold. The same principle applies to relationships. As long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep proving yourself, they have no reason to miss you. But when you disappear, when you pull back and focus on yourself, it forces them to sit with the discomfort of their own choices. And that discomfort will haunt them. There's a reason why people come running back the moment you stop chasing them. The more you try to explain your worth, the less they see it. The more you try to make them understand your pain, the less they care. But the moment you step back, the moment you go silent, that's when they begin to wonder. That's when they start to feel uneasy. They will start questioning everything. Why aren't they calling anymore? Why aren't they checking in? Have they moved on? Have they found someone better? That uncertainty, that sudden shift in energy is what makes them feel your absence like a wound that won't heal. And here's the harsh truth. People don't change unless they are forced to. If you continue giving your time, your attention, and your emotions to someone who disrespects you, they have no reason to value you. They have no reason to change their behavior because they know that no matter what they do, you will always be there. But the moment you remove yourself, the moment you stop responding, they are forced to face the consequences of their actions. They are forced to deal with the reality that you are no longer an option. This is why silence is so powerful. It is not about playing games. It is about reclaiming your power. When you remove yourself, you stop giving them the luxury of your presence. You stop being their emotional safety net. You stop being the person they can fall back on when they need validation or comfort. And when that happens, they start to feel the weight of their decisions. They start to regret taking you for granted. They start to wonder if they made a mistake. But in order for this to work, you have to commit to it fully. You cannot remove yourself temporarily and then come running back the moment they reach out. You cannot disappear for a few days and then give in when they send a late night message. That only teaches them that you are easily swayed, that all they have to do is give you a little attention to bring you back into their orbit. No, you have to be firm in your decision to walk away. You have to make peace with the fact that their regret is not your responsibility. When you remove yourself completely, you are not just teaching them a lesson, you are teaching yourself a lesson. You are proving to yourself that you don't need their validation, their approval, or their presence to be whole. You are breaking the cycle of dependency, the cycle of emotional manipulation. You are showing yourself that you have the strength to move forward, even when it hurts. And yes, it will hurt at first. Walking away from someone you once cared about is never easy. There will be moments when you are tempted to check their social media, to reach out, to remind them of what they lost. But you must resist that urge. Because every time you break your silence, you weaken your power. Every time you look back, you slow down your own progress. Instead of focusing on them, turn your attention inward. Use this time to rebuild yourself, to rediscover your worth. Invest in your growth. Mentally, emotionally, physically. Become the best version of yourself, not for them, but for you. And as you do this, something incredible will happen. You will realize that the person you were chasing, the person you were crying over, was never worth your energy to begin with. You will see them for who they truly are, not for who you wanted them to be. And by the time they finally realize what they lost, by the time they come back looking for you, it will be too late. Because the person they once knew, the person who waited for their love, no longer exists. Pain is one of the greatest teachers in life. When someone leaves you, betrays you, or takes you for granted, the pain can feel unbearable. It lingers in your chest, in your mind, in your every waking moment. You replay the conversations, the memories, the moments you thought would last forever. And you wonder how someone who once meant so much could treat you like you were nothing. But what if I told you that pain is not your enemy? What if I told you that the very thing breaking you right now is also the thing that will build you into someone unstoppable? Pain is not meant to destroy you. Pain is meant to transform you. The truth is, most people never change until they are forced to. Comfort keeps them in the same cycles, repeating the same mistakes, settling for the same disappointments. But pain forces you to move. It forces you to look at yourself, to question your patterns, to face the truth you've been avoiding. Pain is a signal that something needs to change. And when you use that pain as fuel, you become someone they can never hurt again. You become someone who rises from the ashes. Someone who takes back their power and never looks back. In the beginning, the pain feels overwhelming. It consumes you. You wake up with it. You go to sleep with it. It feels like a storm raging inside of you, tearing apart everything you thought you knew about love, about trust, about people. But storms don't last forever. The strongest trees are the ones that have endured the harshest winds. And just like that tree, you will find your strength in this storm, but only if you choose to. Because pain will do one of two things. It will either break you or it will build you. The choice is yours. Most people run from pain. They numb it with distractions, with temporary fixes, with unhealthy coping mechanisms. They rush to fill the void with another person, hoping that someone new will erase the memories of the one who left. But that never works. Because healing doesn't happen by running. Healing happens by facing the pain head on, by sitting with it, by allowing yourself to feel it, by understanding that every tear, every ache, every lonely night is shaping you into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who will never tolerate less than they deserve again. Pain has a purpose. It is trying to wake you up. It is trying to show you the truth about who you are, about what you need, about what you should never accept again. If you allow it, pain will guide you toward a higher version of yourself. The version of you that no longer settles for breadcrumbs. The version of you that no longer tolerates disrespect. The version of you that walks away, not because they stopped caring, but because they started valuing themselves more. Think about the most successful, the most powerful, the most unshakable people in the world. Do you think they were born that way? No. They were shaped by their pain. They were molded by their disappointments, by their heartbreaks, by the moments when they felt like giving up but chose to rise instead. Every scar they carry is a reminder of what they survived. And if they had never felt pain, they would have never found their strength. The same is true for you. Right now, it may feel like this pain is breaking you, but in reality, it is building you into someone they will never have access to again. Every tear you shed is watering the seeds of a new version of yourself, a version that is wiser, stronger, and more resilient than ever before. A version that no longer waits for someone to recognize their worth, because they already know it. People often regret losing what they once had, but by the time they realize it, that person is no longer the same. That is the power of transformation. When you take your pain and use it as fuel, you become unrecognizable. The person they hurt, the person they ignored, the person they took for granted no longer exists. Instead, they are replaced by someone who is thriving, someone who is untouchable, someone who has turned their pain into power. There is a reason why people always come back. When they see you doing better without them. When they see you rising, when they see you happy, when they see you no longer affected by their absence, it shakes them to their core. Because they expected you to fall apart. They expected you to chase them. They expected you to need them. But instead, you became the one thing they never thought you would be: free. Pain is temporary, but the version of you that emerges from it is permanent. And when you choose to embrace that transformation, when you choose to let your pain fuel your growth, there is nothing and no one that can ever break you again. People do not value what is always available. When you are constantly there for someone, when you always pick up the phone, when you always respond to their messages, when you always say yes, what you are really doing is teaching them that your presence is not special. It's human nature to take for granted what we believe will always be there. The moment you remove yourself, the moment you stop being an option, they start to feel the weight of your absence. And that weight is heavy. You have to understand something. People wake up only when reality forces them to. As long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep giving them your energy, they don't have to think about what life would be like without you. But the second you stop, the second you decide that you are no longer going to be their backup plan, their emotional support, their comfort zone, that is when they start to realize what they've lost. You have probably experienced this before. The moment you stop chasing someone, suddenly they start noticing you. The moment you stop calling, suddenly they start wondering where you are. The moment you pull back, suddenly they start questioning their own actions. That is because humans respond to absence more than presence. They do not appreciate what they have until they feel its loss. There is a reason why someone who once ignored you suddenly reaches out when they notice you moving on. There is a reason why someone who never appreciated your kindness suddenly starts reminiscing when they see you happy without them. It's because they assumed you would always be there. They thought that no matter how they treated you, you would always come back. But when you break that pattern, when you remove yourself, when you shift your focus from them to yourself, you force them to confront something they never wanted to face. The fact that you are not an option. You are a privilege. This is the power of walking away. When you take your energy back, when you decide that your worth is not determined by someone else's recognition, you send a loud and clear message. You are not waiting for anyone to choose you. You are choosing yourself. And that is what makes them feel the loss. That is what makes them regret ever taking you for granted. Think about it. Why do people suddenly realize they love someone after they leave? Why do they only start appreciating someone when it's too late? Because as long as something is in front of them, they assume it will always be there. It is only when they can no longer access it, no longer feel it, no longer rely on it, that they finally understand its value. This is why removing yourself is the most powerful thing you can do. Some people make the mistake of thinking they have to prove their worth to someone who doesn't see it. They believe that if they just try a little harder, if they just give a little more, if they just show how much they care, the other person will finally appreciate them. But it never works that way. You cannot convince someone to value you. You cannot beg someone to see your worth. The only way someone will ever realize what you meant to them is when they no longer have access to you. That is why silence is so powerful. When you remove yourself, when you stop explaining, when you stop arguing, when you stop trying to prove your worth, you force them to deal with their own thoughts. You leave them alone with their own mind. And that is a place they never wanted to be. They start questioning everything. They start wondering why you're no longer responding. They start replaying the last conversation, trying to figure out if they made a mistake. They start feeling that emptiness where your presence used to be. And that emptiness becomes unbearable. But the moment you give in, the moment you break your silence, the moment you reach out, you take that power away. They stop feeling the loss because they know you're still there. That's why it's so important to be consistent in your decision to walk away. You cannot remove yourself one day and then show up the next. You cannot go silent and then break that silence just because you miss them. If you want someone to truly feel the pain of losing you, you have to let them feel it completely. No mixed signals, no temporary disappearances, just complete absence. And while they are feeling that loss, while they are regretting the way they treated you, you are not waiting. You are not sitting around hoping they will come back. You are using that time to grow, to heal, to rebuild yourself. Because the goal is not to make them chase you. The goal is to become someone they can never hurt again. Someone who has outgrown them. Someone who no longer needs their validation. Someone who has become so powerful in their own right that by the time they realize what they lost, you are already too far ahead for them to catch up. The concept of self-worth is one of the most transformative things you can understand. It is the foundation of everything that follows in your life. Without it, you will constantly settle for less than you deserve. You will tolerate mistreatment, disappointment, and heartache because you will believe that you are not worthy of better. But the moment you shift your mindset, the moment you truly start to value yourself, everything changes. When you realize that you deserve the best, you stop accepting anything less. And this shift is powerful. Self-worth is not something that can be given to you by others. It's not something you can find in the approval of friends, family, or lovers. It's not something that can be measured by external accomplishments or possessions. Your worth comes from within. It is the knowledge that you are valuable because of who you are, not because of what anyone else thinks of you. When you internalize this truth, you stop seeking validation from others. You no longer need to prove yourself. You become unapologetically yourself. When you begin to truly value yourself, you stop accepting toxic relationships. You stop giving your energy to people who drain you, to people who don't appreciate you, to people who don't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. You stop letting others define your value because you now know your worth is not negotiable. And this is when people start to feel the impact of losing you. Before this transformation, you might have overlooked red flags. You might have made excuses for others' behavior, telling yourself that everyone has flaws, that everyone deserves a second chance, You might have believed that if you just loved harder, gave more, or tried harder, they would see your worth. But here's the truth. When you don't recognize your own worth, you allow others to take advantage of it. You allow them to walk all over you because you are constantly seeking their approval to feel good about yourself. You are giving away your power. But once you start recognizing your worth, everything shifts. You become a magnet for respect. You no longer tolerate disrespect or neglect. You no longer feel the need to chase someone who isn't giving you the same energy in return. You stop giving your time and attention to people who treat you like an option because you know you are not one. You start showing up for yourself, and that is when everything changes. People will begin to notice. They will notice when you no longer accept their inconsistency. They will notice when you stop allowing them to treat you poorly. They will feel the weight of your absence when you stop giving them your energy. They will feel the loss of someone who once gave everything and expected nothing but respect in return. And it is in that moment, when they feel the shift, when they realize that you are no longer an option, that they will start to regret their actions. But your transformation isn't about making them regret. It's about making sure that you never have to tolerate their disrespect again. Your worth is not dependent on their recognition. It is a constant, unwavering truth that exists whether they acknowledge it or not. When you recognize your worth, you begin to set boundaries. You begin to say no when you mean it. You begin to put yourself first without feeling guilty. You stop sacrificing your happiness for others' comfort. You understand that your peace is priceless and you will not allow anyone to disturb it. Self-worth is the foundation of confidence. It's the understanding that you do not need to prove yourself to anyone. It's the realization that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness simply because you exist. And once you tap into this, you start attracting the people and opportunities that align with your true value. No longer will you settle for relationships that drain you. No longer will you accept disrespect from those who should be uplifting you. You start to surround yourself with people who see your worth, who respect your boundaries, and who love you not for what you can do for them, but for who you are. This shift is powerful. It's the difference between living a life of settling and living a life of abundance. When you recognize your worth, you start to attract the life you deserve. You stop tolerating situations that make you feel small, and you start stepping into your power. You become unapologetic in your pursuit of happiness, in your pursuit of love, in your pursuit of success. And when you do this, the people who took you for granted will start to feel the consequences of their actions. They will realize that they had something valuable in their grasps, but they let it slip away. And it will hurt them because they will realize that they had the opportunity to appreciate you, to cherish you, to value you, but they didn't. And by the time they understand, you will have moved on. Because now you know your worth. And you will never go back to a place where you have to prove it to anyone. There is an undeniable power in walking away from a situation that no longer serves you. It is not simply about leaving a relationship, a job, or a friendship. It is about reclaiming your power and your peace. When you choose to walk away, it's an act of strength. A declaration that you are no longer willing to settle for anything less than the respect and the love you deserve. Often it is the most difficult decision to make, but it is the one that can bring about the greatest transformation. When we are in situations that drain us, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or physically, we often think that staying will lead to some form of resolution. We think that if we stay long enough, things will change and the person or situation will improve. We try to be patient, understanding, and accommodating. We rationalize their actions, make excuses for their behavior, and sacrifice our own happiness for the sake of peace or love. But in reality, the longer we stay in a toxic situation, the more we compromise ourselves. The more we allow our peace to be disturbed, our energy to be drained, and our self-worth to be eroded. The decision to walk away is not a decision made in haste or out of anger. It's not about leaving to prove a point or to show someone that you can live without them. It is a conscious choice to prioritize your well-being and happiness. It is a recognition that you are worth more than being treated as an option or being taken for granted. When you walk away, you make the statement that you are no longer willing to sacrifice your mental, emotional, and physical health for someone or something that does not value you. What often makes walking away so difficult is the fear of the unknown. We fear that if we leave, we might end up alone or without the things we thought we needed. We fear the pain of letting go of something or someone we invested so much time, energy, and emotion into. But the truth is, what we often fail to realize is that staying in a place that no longer aligns with who we are only delays our growth. We remain stuck, and in that stuckness, we lose sight of our own potential. Leaving, while difficult, opens up new doors to growth, to opportunities, to the life that you deserve. It gives you the space to rediscover yourself, to heal, to grow stronger. When you leave, you make room for the things and people who will uplift you, who will respect you, and who will meet you at your level of worth. Staying in an unhealthy situation only keeps you bound to something that cannot give you what you need, and in many cases it holds you back from becoming the person you are truly meant to be. People fear walking away because they think it's a sign of weakness or failure. They believe that if they leave, it means they have given up or that they are somehow admitting defeat. But walking away is the opposite. It is a sign of strength. It is an acknowledgement of your own value and the understanding that you deserve better. It is the courage to step into the unknown, knowing that you are strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. It is the decision to stop giving to something that drains you and start investing in yourself, your growth, your happiness, and your peace. The pain of walking away may feel overwhelming in the moment, but it is temporary. What lasts is the sense of relief, the freedom that comes with removing yourself from a situation that no longer serves you. The pain of letting go is only a passing moment, but the healing that follows can transform your life. When you walk away, you reclaim your energy. You stop giving power to the situation, to the person, or to the circumstances that have been holding you back. You take control of your life and your future. As you walk away, you are also walking towards something greater. You are walking toward the person you are meant to be, the life you are meant to live. Walking away opens up space for new opportunities to enter your life. It opens up the possibility for new relationships, new experiences, and new growth that would have been impossible if you had stayed in the same situation. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you are ready to evolve, to step into your full potential, and to attract the people and situations that will help you grow. What many people fail to realize is that by walking away, you give the other person or situation the opportunity to grow as well. When you stay in a toxic dynamic, you enable the other person to continue their behavior. You allow them to believe that their actions are acceptable, and you keep them from facing the consequences of their choices. But when you walk away, You force them to confront the reality of their behavior. They are left to deal with the consequences of their actions, and that can be the catalyst for their own transformation. Walking away, however, is not about punishing anyone. It is about freeing yourself from a situation that no longer serves you. It is about recognizing that your peace is non-negotiable, that your worth is not determined by someone else's actions, and that you deserve a life filled with respect, love, and fulfillment. It is about understanding that you are worthy of the best and that you will not settle for less. When you make the choice to walk away, you are making the most powerful decision of your life. You are choosing to put yourself first, to stop waiting for someone else to change, and to stop tolerating behavior that diminishes your value. You are choosing to embrace the unknown because you trust in your own strength, your own resilience, and your own ability to create the life you desire. Walking away is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter that is all about you, your growth, your happiness, and your future. When you recognize the power of healing, you begin to understand that it is not a linear process. It is not something that happens overnight or with a single decision. Healing is a journey, a deeply personal experience that takes time, patience, and a great deal of inner strength. When you let go of someone or something that has hurt you, you open the door to healing. But this process is not without its challenges. It requires you to confront the pain, the hurt, and the scars left behind. And it demands that you learn how to navigate these emotions in a way that fosters growth and resilience. Healing starts with acceptance. It starts with acknowledging that the pain you feel is real and valid. Too often we try to avoid our feelings, suppress them, or convince ourselves that we should be over it by now. But healing cannot occur until you allow yourself to feel. You have to give yourself permission to grieve, to be sad, to be angry, and to feel whatever emotions arise. By acknowledging your feelings, you give yourself the space to process them. It is only when you face your emotions head-on that you can begin to release them and move forward. Once you allow yourself to feel, the next step in healing is letting go. Letting go is not about forgetting or erasing the past. It's not about pretending that the pain never existed. Letting go is about releasing the hold that the past has on you. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of resentment, regret, or guilt. When you hold on to the past, you give it power over your present and your future. But when you let go, you take that power back. You reclaim your peace, your joy, and your ability to create the life you deserve. Letting go also means forgiving, not for the other person's sake, but for your own. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. It is not about excusing someone's behavior or pretending that what they did didn't hurt. Forgiveness is about releasing the emotional grip that the situation has on you. It is about choosing to move forward without being weighed down by anger or bitterness. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It is the ultimate act of self-care. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean allowing someone who hurt you back into your life. It simply means that you are no longer letting their actions dictate your emotions or your life. You are choosing to break free from the cycle of pain, anger, and resentment that keeps you trapped in the past. When you forgive, you free yourself from the burden of carrying that pain with you. You allow yourself to heal. Healing also requires self-compassion. Too often, when we experience emotional pain, we turn inward and blame ourselves. We question what we could have done differently or why we allowed ourselves to be hurt. But this kind of self-blame only prolongs the healing process. You must be kind to yourself. You must recognize that you are human, that you are doing the best you can, and that you are deserving of love and compassion, especially from yourself. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding that you would offer to a friend who is going through a difficult time. It is essential to give yourself grace as you heal. One of the most powerful aspects of healing is the ability to rebuild yourself. The pain of loss, betrayal, or disappointment can leave you feeling broken, but it is through this brokenness that you can rebuild yourself into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of who you were before. Healing is about rediscovering who you are outside of the pain and the past. It's about finding new strength, new purpose, and a renewed sense of self. This process of rebuilding often involves letting go of old beliefs, patterns, and behaviors that no longer serve you. It is an opportunity to redefine who you are and who you want to become. As you heal, you also learn to set healthier boundaries. The pain of past relationships or experiences can teach you valuable lessons about what you will and will not tolerate. You begin to understand that your peace and well-being are non-negotiable. You begin to recognize the signs of toxicity and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, not bring you down. As you rebuild, you also rebuild your sense of self-worth, understanding that you deserve nothing less than respect, love, and kindness in every relationship. Healing also teaches you the importance of patience. The journey may not always be smooth, and there will be times when it feels as if progress is slow or non-existent. There may be setbacks, moments of doubt, and moments when you feel as though you'll never be whole again. But the truth is, healing is a process that unfolds at its own pace. There is no set timeline for when you will get over it. You must trust in the process and give yourself permission to take things one step at a time. The key is to never give up on yourself. Even when the road feels long, remember that every step you take is a step closer to healing and wholeness. Another crucial part of healing is learning how to trust again. The pain of betrayal or loss can make it difficult to open yourself up to others. You may fear being hurt again, and you may want to close yourself off to protect your heart. But healing involves learning how to trust just others, but also yourself. It's about trusting your ability to handle whatever comes your way, trusting that you are strong enough to overcome any challenge, and trusting that you deserve love and connection. It takes time, but with each step forward, you rebuild that trust, and it becomes easier to open up to the right people. Ultimately, healing is about reclaiming your life. It's about choosing to rise above the pain, above the hurt, and above the challenges that have tried to define you. It's about stepping into your power and understanding that you are capable of not only surviving, but thriving. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about transforming it. It is about using the lessons learned, the strengths gained, and the wisdom acquired to create a future that is better than you ever imagined.